learned colleague for her presentation to you. I was taught as a junior lawyer, before I came into a court, that I researched my facts that I was asserting in the courtroom. I investigated my case and I presented it in a way that properly reflected the case that I was bringing. And that was a golden rule that I hope I've passed down through the generations of young lawyers that I've trained over the years. But we are seeing something in this courtroom that I am afraid does not meet up to the rigorous standards that should be applied. In the year 2000, Professor Cassese issued his commentary on the Rome Treaty. I wrote the chapter on the role of the defence with His Honour Judge Birch Schwart, who sadly passed away recently. I had never any conception at the time of writing that chapter that I would be standing here in court 10 years later addressing you upon evidence such as being put before you that has caused an investigation, a summons, and now a confirmation hearing for people who are public figures whose cases deserved to be investigated before they were put through the process that has taken place. But there it is. There we are. That's what we face. And we will meet the challenge. The background of Uhuru Kenyatta is important because of his leadership of the KANU party. And I addressed you in opening about that party. And it's a very important fact to note that was a political party outside his political community of the Kikuyu. President Kibaki was the man in charge of the Kikuyu party, but Uhuru Kenyatta had gone in a different direction. Moi, who was a Kalenjin, he who was a Kikuyu, and the thrust of his party was on the basis of all Kenya, not just of tribalism or sectarianism. And that's a very important thing to note. We've provided a witness statement for you, confidential witness 6, EVD PT D13 00479, pages 0418 to 0420. He describes the 1997 election. At this point, KANU, led by Daniel Arap Moi, was widely perceived as the party of choice for the smaller tribes, and he names them: Kalenjin, Maasai, Somali. He describes how Uhuru Kenyatta joined the KANU party. It was almost inconceivable for Uhuru Kenyatta, a Kikuyu, to stand on a KANU ticket. However, Kenyatta has never based his politics along ethnic lines. He has only ever been concerned with how issues affect the national interest. Kenyatta wasn't afraid to challenge Kibaki on national issues, despite the fact that many Kikuyu politicians were of the opinion that Kenyatta should not question his fellow tribesmen. Uhuru Kenyatta joined Kibaki in September 2007 for a number of reasons, none of which have any base in ethnic considerations. Firstly, Kenyatta felt that the ODM's method of opposition to Kibaki's government was irresponsible. The ODM was alarmist and purposefully sought to encourage hatred against the Kibaki regime, as opposed to proposing effective solutions. Secondly, the political union of the ODM was predicated on stirring up ethnic rivalry to consolidate communities against others. Thirdly, it was clear to Kenyatta that after the ODM faction left Kibaki's government, an admirable amount of development had taken place, which was testament to that faction's focus on development as opposed to divisive politics. So that's the background, and that's a very important thing to bear in mind, because when we have cases presented on ethnic lines, it's often quite important and quite challenging to look at the background of the individual concerned. Let's go again to his conduct during the election itself. We know the stakes were high, the rivalry fierce, great lengths were gone to by the ODM to provide an effective campaign, to have a strategy, and you saw the clip that we showed in our half-hour opening statement. Back to witness 6, EVD PT D13 00479, page 0422 to 0423. Uhuru Kenyatta's campaigns centred on national concerns. He would frequently state that the Kibaki government had brought roads and improved health care and education for all Kenyans. When he was campaigning, Kenyatta did not seek to excite tribal passions. Instead, he referred to national concerns such as development and the economy. At campaigns, he would frequently state, when you are addressing national issues, it doesn't matter where you come from. I remember that Kenyatta hosted large town hall style meetings with community leaders from the Rift Valley, especially the Kalenjin, which was a key tribe that the ODM were attempting to incite. At these meetings, Kenyatta sought to diffuse the ethnic tension through dialogue. These Kalenjin communities had been mistakenly informed by the ODM politicians that their lack of jobs and land was as a result of the Kikuyus. Kenyatta explained that Kikuyus and Kalenjins have lived in harmony for hundreds of years, and in fact that when his father, Jomo Kenyatta, was president, he had chosen Daniel Arap Moi, a Kalenjin, as his vice president. Other witnesses confirm this, and I cite to you confidential witness 3 at EVD PT D13 00424 at page 0089, and also Witness 11, EVD, PT, D13, 00535 at page 065. And that statement, 0650, that statement says at paragraph 10, during the election campaign of 2007, I was with him and followed him almost every day and recorded what took place as he was fighting the election with the PNU on behalf of his KANU party. The alliance between them was from September 2007. During the campaign, I never heard him promote violence or ethnic tension. I mentioned in opening our statement before the court several days ago that it was very important in a case to talk to those who were with, who watched, who could say they were present with an accused. You know from the evidence that has been analysed by Ms. Higgins that that has not happened in this case, and that there is a great reliance upon rumour, gossip, what others have said. That might be fine for an investigation, and one can understand an investigation may cause a prosecutor to investigate if there was a belief there that such rumour and gossip needed scrutiny. But when you come into court, your evidence must have moved beyond that gossip and rumour. A good matter to look at now is Uhuru Kenyatta's response to the election results. An important component in this case were those results which were bitterly contested by the ODM party. What was his position and how did he conduct himself? I'm going to refer you to a videotape that we were able to obtain. I'm not going to play it as it's too long, but it's at EVD PT D13 00070. It's the 28th of December 2007, and Mr. Kenyatta is interviewed by KTN TV at the Electoral Commission's Secretariat in the KICC building, Nairobi. And there you will see, as people start challenging the results, what he said at that time. It is mere nonsense, as was proved to be in Nyanza and Rift Valley. There are just individuals who are just using that conspiracy to basically indicate that they have won, and the only way that President Kibaki is going to win is if he rigs. There was a feeling at this time that you can see in the evidence that this allegation of rigging was being used as a tool to incite one side against the other, and it was dangerous. If you look at the evidence from the time, you will see politicians mentioning such matters, but none of them at that time, in the early stage of the giving out of the election results, were aware what was going to happen and how, on this occasion in Kenya, the election violence was going to be worse than it had been before. But at a very early stage, it's Uhuru Kenyatta's position that he wants talks with the opposition once trouble starts. And I refer you to the newspaper The Standard on the 31st of December 2007. EVD PT D13 00074, headed Ministers State in Talks with Opposition. The government held a press conference in which it calls for peace and announces that it is reaching out to the opposition to seek a solution to the violence raging across the country. Uhuru Kenyatta is present at that meeting. Going back to witness 11 at EVD PT D13 00535 at page 0651, and you will recollect I referred to you earlier a statement by him because he was recording events that took place following Mr. Kenyatta during the election and afterwards. And you will be seeing video clips later on recorded by this witness which go to the truth of what he was saying and doing. But he was at the KICC when the votes were counted. And he says at paragraph 12, "I could see the conflict starting as the results began to favour PNU and Mwai Kibaki. The ODM started press conferences to denounce the outcome even before the final results came in. Accusations and counter-accusations started. I recorded all this. Some politicians started to cause chaos and be aggressive. Uhuru was very calm and wanted the ODM to wait for the final outcome as they had started their attack even before the results were known. The ODM produced to the media a returning officer in a stage-managed way to say he had seen irregularities. The ODM claimed this and then sent him away so he could not be spoken to directly. All this was happening live in the media and causing great tension and anger. They wanted to proclaim the election was stolen and to have that reported in the media and cause trouble. When reports of violence started to come in, Uhuru was visibly disturbed and worried about what was happening. His attitude was that ODM should be humble and wait for the results and not talk in such a scathing manner. It was bad for Kenya and not good for our people. Confirmation of this conduct and how he bore himself at the time of the election results is also able to be derived from witness 20. Go to EVD PT D13 00548 at 05757 to 0760, confidential witness statement. And he describes what was happening and how, as news came in, I remember Uhuru speaking to the press alongside other politicians and him calling for peace. This event was reported, and you can see it in the press, at the Serena Hotel, and exhibited. Go to EVD PT D13 00077. On the 2nd of January, this witness goes on to say, at paragraph 13, "We were at the house in Nairobi, and on this day, I remember that as the violence continued, some of the leaders felt that they should yet again call for peace and recall there being a press conference in which both Uhuru and my immediate boss, the Foreign Minister, Honourable Tuju, were present. The gist of this press conference was that the ODM should seek legal redress as stipulated for in the Constitution." The court has seen in the opening statement given by the Kenyatta defence other clips of Uhuru Kenyatta urging the ODM to challenge through the courts and not resort to mass action. You remember the words where he said, "Kenya is on the brink." And you can go to media clips at for the 3rd of January 2008, EVD PT D13 00082, the Standard newspaper of the 3rd of January, "Seek court action, PNU tells Raila. We won the elections, and whoever feels aggrieved should go to court, and we will be available for response." So there we have it in those early days of what is actually being said in the media and publicly by Uhuru Kenyatta. Quite the opposite from these allegations made on behalf of the prosecution through these 3 protected witnesses. Very, very different in real terms. And probably those people, when they made those statements, never realized that someone would go along and check publicly what was being said by Uhuru Kenyatta to see if that supported them or contradicted them. The plain fact of the matter is that it contradicts them. His reaction from the election results was one of calmness. It was saying, go to the courts to challenge, do not use mass action. So that takes us to the 3rd of January from those public sources. We submit very important evidence, but we will now go further and put before you his exact conduct in response to the violence. I'm going to play you a clip from the 11th of January 2008 at EVD PT D13 00102 from KTN TV.
We were all ready for yesterday. The president was sitting and waiting for them to come and dialogue. They didn't show up. And then tomorrow you now hear that they are now saying mass action. That doesn't show good faith.
Dialogue. He appreciated that dialogue was necessary to try and stop what was happening. If one side has mobilized forces to try and prevent the normal civil government and make Kenya ungovernable. As a politician, he appreciated dialogue was necessary. First reaction, go to the courts, take your complaint there, but then let's talk, was his position, and that's what he was putting out in the public and wanting the ODM to follow. Let's have a look at this at EVD PT D13 00106 on the 12th of January 2008. It's the People Daily and it's page 24 and it refers to the 11th of January 2008. Can we show that extract from the newspaper? The newspaper records this from Uhuru Kenyatta under the headline, Uhuru slams mass action calls. I don't think it's come on the screens, but I don't want to lose time. I'll refer you now to what is said. Dialogue requires people to resolve differences peacefully and not throwing stones that could kill innocent people. It is not engaged in the streets. Let's play now another television clip from this time, also the 11th of January, EVD PT D13 00103 CT mediation.
On their part, government-friendly leaders reiterated that they are ready and open for dialogue.
The idea and our position is that we are all interested in peace in our country. We're all interested in dialogue and working together as Kenyans. We believe strongly that President Mwai Kibaki won these elections. We are not discussing or deliberating from a point of view where we think that there was a stolen election.
That, of course, would have to be decided in a court, as he'd already made clear whether the election was stolen or not. And there was clear position from him and his party that that should be the route. On the 12th of January, at EVD PT D13 00106, if you could show that, please. The Daily Nation, Uhuru slams mass action calls. Local government minister Uhuru Kenyatta has faulted ODM over calls for mass protests, saying that it is not a demonstration of people who are ready for dialogue. Dialogue requires people to resolve differences peacefully and not throwing stones that could kill innocent people. It cannot be engaged on the streets. But during the post-election violence, Uhuru Kenyatta preached that peaceful message on the streets himself. At EVD PT D13 00076 from the 1st of January 2008, again the Daily Nation, pages 4 and 5, under the heading Looting, Rioting and Evictions Continue as ODM youths cause chaos over polls. Uhuru Kenyatta, and he's photographed, is present at a press conference at Serena Hotel, Nairobi, where leaders condemn the killings that have been going on in the country. From the content that we've delivered to the court as part of our disclosure, the court will know that he travelled to Tanzania on a special mission on the 6th of January 2008, EVD PT D13 00088, to have a meeting with the head of state of Tanzania regarding the violence and destruction in Kenya. So we can see the development of his conduct by his acts and deeds. This is the real evidence of what was happening in January 2008. This is what he is actually saying and doing. Let us now play a few clips from a radio station at 7:30 in the morning on the 30th of January 2008. It's Capital FM, it's EVD PT D13 00122 at 0105.
Nothing in this world, and in God's name, nothing justifies the death, maiming, destruction that we've seen over the last 3 weeks. And really, it behoves on all of us as leaders, as Kenyans, to ensure that we begin to talk to one another as brothers and sisters. And that, to me, is the most important message one can put across to citizens at this time.
Another clip from Capital FM at 4 minutes 10 seconds.
But what is more important, and what really is our duty, both as leaders and as citizens, is to ensure that we create an environment that is going to allow such discussion and dialogue to take place. And therefore it behoves on all of us to call upon our brothers and sisters to lay down their arms, to realize that you cannot, no matter how angry you may be, whether you are a supporter of Raila, whether you are a supporter of Kibaki, if you are a supporter of Raila and you believe that the election was stolen, you're not going to get a solution through killing the so-called supporters of Mwai Kibaki. If you are a supporter of Mwai Kibaki, you're not going to get a solution by taking revenge because your brother or your sister was killed by a supporter, because all that you're doing is adding to the problem. Let us come to our senses. Let us lay down our weapons. Let us talk to our neighbors. Let us talk to the people that we've lived next door to one another. And let us ask ourselves, what really is eating at this country? And through dialogue, can we fix it?
This is not a politician just going against the other side. This is a politician talking on both sides. Raila Odinga, Mwai Kibaki. He's putting the message to both sides of Kenya. Let us play at 17:55. It was a very long radio show, and you have the full evidence provided to you, and I'm taking just a few clips. At 17:55.
Let us take and allow the government and the authorities to ensure that the lives of those people who live in affected areas are protected. But revenge has never been an answer. Let us live in peace. Let us be an example of people who can coexist with one another and not use the fact that we have minorities amongst us as a target for revenge missions because of what has happened to our relatives or friends who live in other areas.
Another radio station, Coro FM, 31st of January 2008, at EVD PT D13 00128. The transcript is at EVD PT D13 00390 at page 0107, as it's a Kikuyu language radio station. I'll give you the translation. We won't play this piece in Kikuyu. We have a long piece to come up, and it will save time if I just read the translation. But the Englishman said, "Two wrongs have never made a right." Personally, my plea to our people is that we should keep peace, that we recognise that in our country there isn't anyone who doesn't have a right to reside wherever they desire, and to conduct their business, whether it's farming or living peacefully. And I am sure that for all those that have committed acts to destroy the homes and lives of our people, each and every one of them, the government shall reckon with them and make sure that our people return. But the most important is this: people should not take the law into their own hands. They should agree to maintain peace and live together with other people, so that foreign lands will know we have no ill motive but were attacked. And when we shall be able to reckon with the people that have done the things that have done, people will know that we were the peaceful ones and we were attacked. What was happening here was reflected in the press as well, at EVD PT D13 00078. The Kenya Times: MPs embark on mission to preach peace. 2nd of February 2008, page 4, referring to the previous day, the 1st of February. And it reads thus: Uhuru Kenyatta assured the displaced persons that those implicated in the ongoing skirmishes across the country would be arrested and arraigned in court, saying it was wrong for people to do so, saying that the country belongs to all and sundry. The minister said all Kenyans had the right to live and own property in any part of the country. He at the same time assured all the victims of the PEV that they would be compensated. This isn't rumour and gossip picked up from the streets of Nairobi and circulated. This isn't evidence that just comes about because someone has an end to serve for themselves. This is direct observational evidence at the time that was recorded. Another one, EVD PT D13 00133, 2nd of February 2008, The People. MPs meet over chaos. Cabinet Minister Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday led 10 MPs in a peace tour of 3 constituencies in Kiambu district. The MPs toured Kabeti, Nderi, Kari, Limuru and Tigoni, and addressed families camping at Tigoni and Kabeti police stations. The families pleaded with the government to provide them with transport and security to return to their rural homes in Western and Nyanza provinces. The local government minister urged local residents to live peacefully with their neighbours. So much for the reported press on this theme. What do others say who were with him and around him? Confidential Witness 6 at EVD PT D13 00479 at page 0423 to 0424. After the outbreak of violence, this is at paragraph 52, following the release of the election results, Uhuru Kenyatta did not in any way encourage retaliatory violence. Kenyatta is a compassionate man, and he was moved greatly by the PEV. I remember watching the news coverage of the violence with Kenyatta. He was in disbelief that people of our country could sink to such a level. Kenyatta's view was that if we retaliated, there would be no difference between us and the murderers of women and children. He was not of the opinion that the Kikuyu could seek justice for the crimes committed against their people if they themselves resorted to violence and retaliation. He stressed that the people had voted to elect Kibaki as their president, so we should let justice take its natural course. His opinion was that Kibaki was the president and the system was there to bring the perpetrators to justice and to protect citizens and their property. This is supported by other witnesses whom I'll refer to now. Confidential witness 1 at EVD PT D13 00409. Also confidential witness 4, EVD PT D13 00425 at page 0098. I'll just read that one out. Paragraph 20. I know that during the post-election violence, Uhuru Kenyatta went to different places, including Limuru, Kikuyu and Tigoni, asking the people to be calm and not to retaliate. In these places, the youth were setting up roadblocks and were angry about the violence that was happening in the Rift Valley. I know that these events are recorded in the media. Confidential witness 5 at EVD PT D13 00428 at pages 0117 to 0119. This person knows Uhuru Kenyatta as a politician. We've always been in different parties. He with KANU and I with the NARC Kenya party. In February 2008, there was a Kikuyu uprising in Kikuyu town, which came to my knowledge as part of my networking as a member of Operation Love Your Neighbour. The Kikuyu residents were demanding that non-Kikuyus leave the area because of the influx of Kikuyu IDPs from Rift Valley. She contacted the office of Uhuru Kenyatta. I called the number, and either Kenyatta or his personal assistant answered. I asked him to address the uprising personally in Kikuyu. I have never seen such quick action. The next thing I knew, I saw Uhuru Kenyatta on the television news standing on what looked like a pickup track on the Nairobi-Nakuru Road, Kikuyu. He was addressing those protesting in Swahili, Kikuyu and English. His speech prevented any violence from occurring and caused the rioters to disperse. I've been shown a video clip of Uhuru Kenyatta speaking in Kikuyu, and she produces it. We will now play EVD PT D1300124, Annex 3. There is a transcript of this in the English language because the majority of the language in this clip is in the Kikuyu tongue and Swahili tongue. And this clip is important for you to see the manner and demeanour of the accused Uhuru Kenyatta. Can you play that, please?
Neguo. Ero gete kuro. Wena re kuro mire. Ero neguo de si teireda. Neguo. Neguo de si teireda. Atenene tukene para wakabira wakadi. Inyere katuja tereri kena Amerikani. Na gainya to hiya Amerikani ruko. Na gepeme tego. Neguo. Neguo. Deno dogo tora. Na wama no raga dete. Kile kitu tunasema ni ya kwamba sheria lazima ichukuliwe na hatua ichukuliwe kwa wale wote ambao wameua watu. Zangu dada zangu na waomba mtu asichukue sheria katika mikono yake, aseme ya kwamba ati yeye ataenda kulipiza kisasi. Kwa sababu kisema tafadhali Neguo ati nigena hingura barabara huko tondu riri kiria turenda ri neguo nigari nigari turenda itara nene ku nikuramenya kwina thina neguo mũthuri na kahinda neguo okay kiria kena bata neguo no haria turugamite tumenye atiriri no nginya mũndũ watunyirwo haria atunyirwo kana gĩkinyĩro gwake no nginya agacoka gwa neguo nĩtũgire neguo no tumenye atiriri andũ aitũ tũngire na ithuĩ rĩu nĩguo atĩ nĩguo twathiĩ kwĩrĩhĩria rĩ ndakwĩra mbere ya Ngai ndĩramwĩra rĩ ndĩramwĩra gũtirĩ wahota kũheana kazi ya gũtuĩka atĩ nĩakangeta wĩ nĩguo with the crimes that they have committed. But please tuate igwe nĩguo tũiga atĩrĩrĩ nĩguo atĩ tondũ mũtheru wĩ gũkũ ainũke kwao Nĩkĩma nĩwathiĩ tatwaranĩrie mũndũ twakuoya kahinda ga tũiguithanie rĩ nĩguo ndĩrauga atĩrĩrĩ tondũ twateithio ũmũthĩ nĩtũiga atĩ mũtheru wĩ gũkũ ainũke nĩtũiga mũkaringini wĩ gũkũ ainũke nĩtũiga mũikanda wĩ gũkũ ainũke nĩtũrenda andũ aitũ macoke mĩgũnda nĩtuo tũiga no rĩu kũngĩtuĩka atĩrĩrĩ na nĩkĩo ndĩramwĩra ũrĩa mũreka nĩguo nĩguo ũcio tũcingĩenda tondũ mwaka ũguo ningĩ rĩu nĩ mwa justify ũrĩa mareka tarĩ haki nĩguo nĩtũrendithania na tũthiĩ nĩ twa justify ũguo-rĩ tũthiĩ nĩ twa justify ũguo-rĩ ũguo nĩ kuonania atĩrĩrĩ atĩ ũrĩa mareka atĩ nĩguo kwagĩrĩire nĩguo watigana nao nĩnyinania Lakini tukifika ni vitu vya amani. Ndio. Okay? Na nigeza. Tuweza kumaka na tumenye ale male ya dini ile. Ndio kwa bure. Children have never ever made a right. Okay? Are we together? Ndio. Please. Rekei hivyo tukiweka ni hivyo tukiweka ni hivyo akirudia. Ndio. Na mnaweza mmeya makamene. Na makamene kwa. Na dunia na mromo wao kama ehia. Ndio maana tuchukulia hatua tena mara tuchukulia hatua. Ndio. Hata kwa maana ndio ndio haya tukimle. Na kama kwa wao tukiele. Ora wewe atareke kana atareke tabiri. Abekorera muramenya nere. Ore bore na hali yali. Mwese murabota. A chance. We have to make sure that the injustices that have been done are corrected and the people who have suffered, all right, are compensated. Very good. But I speak to you that if you decide now that the people are wrong, you are also going to commit another wrong. Then I promise you, and I have promised you, I have promised you that anybody who has lost their land will get their land back. Justice. Okay? But we must follow the law. Alright? Not to go on the street and take and seek revenge. That is what I am telling you. Any wrongs in this land and in the world have never made the right. Are we together? Are we together? Please, I plead with you. I plead with you. Justice is not going to be street justice. It cannot be street justice.
That would be a convenient moment for the break.
Thank you very much. Where is the translation, Council K?
The translation is with the court.
The transcript that we have received.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
Yes, it's electronic as well, as you know, but I thought it was easier to play it rather than me.
Yes, we were following some parts, but I was not sure.
Yes.
So we shall resume our hearing at 6:35. Thank you.
All rise, we will there.